Do you ever feel like you're not the courageous one? That you weren't born that way? Other people are the kind that seem fearless? Or you just haven't had that big moment to prove that you're courageous? Well, I want to talk about 3 myths about courage and why it keeps us stuck. It's so important for you to get these 3 concepts deep down inside. And the first one is that courage is for other people, that certain people are wired that way. And it's true. There are people who are wired for courage way more than other people. But to think that you were put on this earth and other people were put on this earth to be courageous and you weren't, it just doesn't even make any sense. Not to mention, hundreds of times in the Bible, we are called to be courageous. So I believe that God has put courage in all of us, and we've all demonstrated it in some way in our lives. And that really brings me to the second myth, and that is that you have to do something grand or big or huge in order to prove to yourself or to others that you have courage within you. But if you really begin to think about your own life and different things you've had to face, you will discover that you have been courageous more times than you can even imagine. What you need to do is think back. Think back to the first time you rode a bike, when you walked into kindergarten class, and then on as your life went on, when you had to make a new friend. Does anybody remember oral communications? Public speaking, which most people can't stand. Most people, that's right up there with death on the fear list. We all had to do that, give a speech in school, even though we knew the people in the class. Terrified us, but we made it through. We did it. Have you ever gone to a job interview? Went on a first date? The list goes on and on and on. Courage is not just built in those big, huge moments. It's every single day. And that brings me to the third point. The third point is just that. You don't need to go and do something big and huge. However, I will say there's probably something that's scaring the you know what out of you right now that you need to face. And you're not doing it because maybe you haven't built up your courage muscles. And that's my third point, is that you need to face daily fears. Face those everyday things that scare you. Those things that maybe aren't life-altering, but it's that conversation that you really should have. It is that one change you want to make in your life. You need to make that decision. When you start to face smaller fears, then you're ready for the big ones. Then when it's time to face Goliath, you're ready. So, in my book, Burn the Map, which I hope you will get a copy of because I know you will find a bunch of stuff in there, but even one little small nugget that it can encourage you is worth the time and resources to get that book. But I talk about a couple of things, one of them being that I put a boa constrictor around my neck, which scared the bejesus out of me. But I did it because I don't like being scared. I don't like having fear have control over me. I also mention in the book, I talk about the beast and I explain what I think the beast is in each of our beasts. But one of the things I also said in Burn the Map is that the beast's middle name is fear. Because I think fear is the number one culprit. I think it's the thing that is keeping us down more than anything else. It's the thing the beast uses on each of us in different ways to keep us down, to keep us from shining our light, from standing up and being who we are meant to be. And so that's why we have to conquer fear. So I put this boa constrictor around my neck because I was scared. And it's not that that's particular thing is going to prepare me for a bunch of boa constrictors I'm going to run into in Arizona, but I did it because I like to face fear. So get into that habit of facing things. I'm not saying run into everything that scares you or, face tremendous danger. But the things in your life that you could face right now. Those things that will help you to build those muscles. Just like we have to keep building our muscles, you also need to build that courage muscle. Because it will help you just in everyday life to feel more confident, to feel different about yourself, but it will also prepare you for the big ones. So I hope that these 3 little tips will help you remember that you are courageous. This is not just for people that seem wired. And there's no such thing as fearless, but we'll talk about that in another message.